Hello, everyone, and whatever time zone you may find yourself in today, I hope you're doing well. My name is Lydia Scher. I'm founder of the People's Accords, and today I want to talk to you about what is Web3 diplomacy. So let's get started with what is Web3 diplomacy. So first of all, you need to know what is Web3, how it applies to diplomacy, and you also should probably see some examples and a visualization of this framework. So first, Web3 is most basically considered the future of the internet. The biggest differences between Web 2 and Web 3 are that data is user-owned, it is decentralized and democratic. Not all Web 3 tech is the same. This is still an emerging field, and oftentimes Web 3 lumps in several technologies, including blockchain, metaverse, which is both extended reality and virtual reality. Technology and the adoption of the internet is at a point where more than half of the global population may not live on very much a day, but they do have a smartphone. And this allows them to have access to the internet. And Web3 technology in particular, and blockchain specifically, allows a lot of unbanked and impoverished people to participate in the financial system. So the People's Accords using Web3 technology for citizen diplomacy allows both cross-cultural communication, as well as an opportunity to facilitate that communication with modern technology, where this can be applied for material social benefit. Diplomacy applications and specific societal benefits can come through the changing form of what it means to be a citizen diplomat. Traditionally speaking, diplomatic and economic development activity has been reserved for the most wealthy in a society, those who can afford to travel, learn multiple languages, and they often only communicate amongst other elites with the same privileges. So the People's Accords is providing an organized, accessible, and sophisticated community grants program for lowering the socioeconomic barriers of diplomatic participation in an effort toward achieving the Sustainable Development Goals pictured on the right. So citizen diplomats will work together in an online environment toward a common goal, either implementing a project, coming up with ideas, or meeting with other citizen diplomats from around the world. Web 2 allows this to some extent. However, Web 3 technologies are the next step in a trustworthy, enriching, empathy-driven experience online. So a brief overview of our citizen diplomacy program looks like this, with these 4 bullet points on the right, where citizen diplomats will complete a Web3 citizen diplomacy training program. They will receive an NFT for the completion of that program and then gain access to the token-gated platform. And then they can work with other citizen diplomats to submit projects, implementation plans and receive funding opportunities, as well as leadership opportunities all around the world. So an example of this framework is given here in a 7-part process that can basically be repeated and scaled as this model grows and improves. There will be various levels of education and training for citizen diplomats to incorporate before they can actually submit projects and participate in the system. However, the idea is still lowering the barrier to entry for citizen diplomacy and basically financial enfranchisement for community decision-making. So the second step in this framework is the citizen diplomat community decides on a request for proposals related to one of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which means that people from different countries potentially facing similar threats to their community can work together to create project implementation plans, which are then submitted and voted on by the community. And then especially if they meet, the legal framework for accepting funding, then we can award them a community grant. Everything is being thought through very far in advance before actually implementing this idea. Before we raise our full fund for the endowment, we are certainly planning to do academic level research and repeating several pilot projects before going for our big goal, which is having a $100 million endowment that will indefinitely sustain the operations and grant funding for this organization. There will be several layers that every project will have to go through in order to ensure that it meets the standards of submission and receiving funding. And this leads to a project implementation, reporting and progress process, measuring the impact, and that model can repeat. The more people who become citizen diplomats and take action and leadership within the program, the more the model can be scaled and repeated elsewhere. What is required is participation from both members of the community and elite business people who understand the need to share their wealth and help enfranchise people who live on less than $1 a day, and even middle class people throughout the Western world and developing worlds who have great ideas, but not the means to achieve them, especially when we think about that so much of the global population lives on less than $1 a day. However, the optimization of human potential and the brain power and intelligence, especially with indigenous knowledge, can be maximized through this program. So we would invite you to join us on a road to 100,000 projects led by citizen diplomats for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. This is a pretty lofty goal, but what if you could create 1 million new jobs or solve the global plastic crisis? All you have to do is enable the right people to have a voice by contributing to the People's Accord's Web3 Framework for citizen diplomacy. Our mission is to give people a greater opportunity to have a positive impact on their world. The Web3 Framework for Citizen Diplomacy aims to provide a scalable model for citizen ownership of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, starting with project-by-project funding and eventually establishing an endowment to perpetually fund $5 to $10 million annually for our operations and community grant program. The People's Accords is implementing several pilot projects to test and improve the framework and to establish an academic grounds for the model before launching into our endowment plan. After determining the ROI and scalability of this model, the People's Accords seeks to raise $100 million for an endowment and to allocate a majority of the dividends to a Community Enfranchisement Grants Program, or CEGP, for citizen diplomacy. The CEGP will have an on-chain and off-chain component. It will be developed and strategically designed by industry-leading experts from the fields of cybersecurity, blockchain, who with experience in DAOs, smart contract developers, economics, as well as federal regulations. Your contributions will empower and optimize the wealth of human creativity around the world. The impact we are aiming for is nothing short of a Nobel Peace Prize for coordinating a citizen diplomatic community, which has substantially contributed to solving some of the biggest global challenges relevant to the survival of our species. Please reach out to contact@People's Accords and put in the subject line whether it is a membership, partnership, volunteer, or question so that you can be forwarded to the right person on our team. And we want to thank you so much. Please visit our website, go follow us on Twitter, check out our YouTube channel, and we look forward to seeing you as a member of our diplomatic community in the future. That was a brief introduction to what is Web3 diplomacy and how it can apply to diplomatic relationships and solving real-world challenges around the world today. Thank you so much and take care. I look forward to seeing you again soon.